Awesome. So thanks again for the introduction and for the opportunity to present this work today. As David was saying, it's actually rare to present to an audience of practitioners, but what is interesting about this work is that it really started from a question that the government had, and as you can see, this project is in partnership with the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy of the UK government. So what was the starting question for this particular research project? Well, the key problem that the UK government identified is that despite the fact that overall their economy and the firms in their economy were doing relatively well, they actually were seeing a high rates of failure and also a lack of growth in companies. So when they open up a bid for projects, we started to think about what could be the causes and what could be the solutions. And one key problem that we identified is that many firms fail when it comes to defining a strategy. Basically making key important choices about who are my customers, how am I going to win, where am I going to play, and things in this sort of area. What is the consequence of this? Well, we've all seen a lot of stats about how a lot of firms fail. 90% of new companies fail within 10 years. Other data suggests that 21% of them fail within the first year. I've seen stats that claim that 78.8% fail within 4 years. I mean, you get the point. It's extremely hard to start a new company because there is a lot of uncertainty and strategy central, and it's extremely hard to make important decisions about strategy. Now, why is that the case? Well, the key point that we've seen both by talking to practitioners as well as by looking at the academic literature is that there is a lack of structured approaches to make decisions, which are often based on using logic as well as collecting evidence. So a lot of us are thinking about big data, what that means for our companies. I teach corporate innovation, so this is something that we discuss a lot in the MBA classroom at INSEAD. And so some of you might be thinking that lack of data is not really a problem, and you're absolutely right. The key problem is what do we do with this data and how do we think as we're making a decision? So our intuition behind this project was to think, hey, what if we borrow the approach that scientists use and use it to the problems that companies are facing? So if you're thinking about scientists, you're probably envisioning someone very much like this photo, someone wearing a white coat in a lab, running experiments, maybe with a board with lots of formulas and hypotheses. And the logic is very similar. We're interested in understanding what happens if we teach entrepreneurs and managers to operate like scientists when they're making important strategic decisions. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the background and the logic behind the project. I'm going to explain what we mean by scientific approach to decision making, and then I'm going to hand it over to Elena later on, who's going to tell you more about the details of our research as well as the results that came out of this project.